Starting with the image that we were working on last time, which in my case here is called Video 3 Painting.psd. I'm going to clone first, make a copy, and we'll work on that copy during this lesson. With the captured bristle selected, the captured bristle brush, just as last time, we're going to finish off the background. Make the brush size fairly large. In this case, I'm going to go with about 40-44. And I'm going to have the bleed at 70, reset at 40, and opacity around 46. So it's a little bit higher than reset. The background color should overlap the portrait slightly, and then you're going to refine that edge later when we paint with the hairbrush. The hairbrush we're going to use is actually an oil brush. So click on this side here to pick the different categories. Pick the oils. And the oil brush we're going to use is called Smeary Flat. And as you can see in later versions of Painter, the brush shape shows up instead of a cursor or just a crosshairs. You've got something that's trying to show you the orientation of the brush. If you don't have a stylus, it's going to look like this, and you won't be able to tilt and reorient the brush as I'm doing. This is one of the advantages of using a stylus. What you can do if you don't have a stylus and you want to reorient the angle, say the brush is this way and you want it that way, go over here to this little hand, push it down and hold it, and you see there's another option there. This is the rotate canvas, and as long as that's active, I can turn the image any way I'd like, whichever is just like turning a paper on the table as you're drawing or moving the canvas around if you were painting. And now, switching back to the brush, let's click on the brush. That angle is actually a good angle because I've reoriented the picture. That's one way to do it. And actually, whatever works for you, whatever is more comfortable for your hand. Even though you have a stylus, you might find that this is easier and more comfortable, just going side to side, rather than fighting with the brush angle and so forth. Anyway, let's look at the settings I have here, because they're kind of unexpected. The reset value is 7. It's very low. Under 10 seems to work well. Anything under 10%. The opacity is quite high. Remember, clone color is turned on. I forgot to mention that. And bleed is close to 50%. We're just bringing through, mixing with some of the color that's already there. And you see, if I go like this, if I wiggle it, it does disturb the lines. For straight hair, you really have to have kind of a very firm grasp of the stylus and a steady hand. And you might want to try it in shorter strokes when you've got a long section like this, the one I'm laboring over here, trying to make it nice and even. But you also don't want it to be exactly perfect because, after all, this is supposed to be a painting. So I use this for straight hair. It seems to keep some of the detail, but at the same time, it smooths it out and gives a nice painterly look. So it's a good choice. Whereas if I went back to the captured bristle brush, let me just show you what that looks like. And I'm in clone mode. Whoop. And let me zoom in a bit. This is a lot closer than I would normally work, but I want you to be able to see the difference in these brushes. Now, if I reduce the size down to about 20, just so 25, so you can see what's going on. There we go. The captured bristle tends to just turn the whole area. It loses all the detail, basically. There's no sense of this being hair. It starts to look like just a general area of color and not very convincing. If I move back out, you look and say, wow, what happened to her hair? It looks like she's wearing a hat or something. So let's go back to the oil brush, the smeary flat oil brush, and I can go right on that same area where I just was with the captured bristle. And look at this, how the hair comes through. And that's actually a technique I use sometimes. I'll go in and purposely lose all of the detail on the hair with a captured bristle or a blender brush, and then using the oil smeary flat, go back in and bring that detail back. When you get into the smaller areas, just as always, we want to go to a smaller size for the detail. And just work it. Take your time. Bring back as much or as little detail as you feel is appropriate for your painting. And then later we're going to add some detail we're going to make up to add some highlights. So you see how that works. And with a nice steady hand, I'm trying to keep a steady hand here, you can have nice straight lines in the hair. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing. Now to put the canvas back to normal, just double click on this icon here, the rotate icon, double click, boink, and it puts it right back to normal, back to the original orientation. If I were to turn on the color in the smeary flat brush, and I'm going to pick a color here, a light color, and now I'm going to move the color up towards white just a little bit and up towards color. I'm making it basically away from the dark and towards the light end of the triangle. And now when I paint, I get highlights. Now this is something that obviously that's going to take you some practice. And when you're using it, don't expect to put down one brush stroke and there's the highlight and you're done. In fact, what I do is put the color down and then work it in by turning the clone back on and work it that way so that the highlight is more gradual, more natural looking. Turn the color back on. Maybe I'd like to have some color variety, so I push it over more towards a pure hue, and then I can change the color slightly up here on the outer ring and add a little bit of variety to these highlights. So that's how we do hair. And you'll notice as we go around the edges here, it does bring back in that detail that we lost. You don't want to go too far into the background because then I'll just be painting back in the background with this oil brush. I find this oil smeary flat brush does a great job on straight hair. Even though it doesn't seem like this is the kind of brush you'd use for hair, it works just great. And better than the captured bristle for certain types of hair. Okay, so go ahead and continue on your own there, finish up the hair, and next time we'll take it up with doing the eyes. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.